Good morning, dear students. Let us discuss a case scenario before going into the subject. A 47-year-old woman came to the medical OP with repeated attacks of fingers becoming pale, warm, and painful on exposure to cold. It was diagnosed as Raynaud's disease. Now, what happens in Raynaud's disease? Which part of the nervous system is involved? How can the disease be treated? So remember this question. At the end of this lecture, we will be able to solve these questions. The topic of today's discussion is sympathetic ganglia. So what is the definition of ganglia? Those of you who do not know the definition of ganglia, it is defined as the neuronal cell bodies, collection of neuronal cell bodies outside the CNS is known as ganglion. Now in the head and neck we discussed about the sympathetic ganglia, right? If you remember, in the neck region we have, in the cervical region, there are three sympathetic ganglions: the superior cervical sympathetic ganglia, middle cervical sympathetic ganglia, and inferior cervical sympathetic ganglia. So now today we discuss about the thoracic sympathetic ganglia, right? Now these ganglia, they are known as the paravertebral ganglia because they are located on either side of the vertebral column, which form the sympathetic chain or trunk. There are two sympathetic chains. One is on the right side, the other is on the left side of the vertebral column. Now each chain or the sympathetic chain extends from the level of first cervical vertebra, that is atlas, to the front of the coccyx, where two chains unite to form single coccygeal ganglion, also known as the ganglion impar. So remember students that in the cervical region we have three sympathetic ganglions on either side of the vertebral column. Then in the thorax, on either side of the vertebral column, we have a number of ganglions. Then also they are present in the lumbar region and also in the sacral region. Ultimately, both the right and left sympathetic chain ganglia unite and form the ganglion impar. Now it is formed of 20 to 23 ganglion on each side. The whole the length of the sympathetic chain consists of 22 to 23 ganglion on each side. The collateral or peripheral ganglion, these are the ganglia that surround some large arteries: celiac ganglia, superior and inferior mesenteric ganglia. How many sympathetic ganglia are found in the sympathetic chains? In the cervical region we have three sympathetic ganglions. Now in the thoracic region we have 10 to 12 pairs of sympathetic ganglions. In the lumbar region we have 4 to 5 sympathetic ganglions, and in the sacral region 4 to 5 pairs of sympathetic ganglion, and in the coccygeal region one fuse together to form ganglion impar. Now dear students, in this picture we can make out a chain of ganglions in the thoracic region. So as you can see in this diagram, the aorta, pericardium and heart. So this is thoracic region, where you have thoracic part of the sympathetic trunk consisting of numerous ganglions, right? Now here you can see at the superior aspect of the thorax there is a ganglion which is known as LSG, nothing but lower stellate ganglion. Actually this is your first thoracic ganglion, right? So this first thoracic ganglion, it fuses with the inferior cervical sympathetic ganglion to form stellate ganglion. So this is the left stellate ganglion. Remember, this is left stellate ganglion. This is a section of the left side of the thorax. Okay, so that's why it is known as the left stellate ganglion. So as you know that we have right and left sympathetic chain. So this is left sympathetic chain in the thoracic region. So this is known as left stellate ganglion. Now in this diagram also we can make out the thoracic part of the sympathetic chain on the right and the left sides. So the first thoracic sympathetic ganglion is known as the stellate ganglion because it fuses with the inferior cervical sympathetic ganglion. The second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 7, 8, 9, 10. So total you see 10 to 12 thoracic sympathetic ganglion present in the thoracic part of the sympathetic chain. Dear students, let us discuss about a terminology related to sympathetic nervous system before going into the thoracic part of the sympathetic trunk. Now what are these preganglionic neurons or the preganglionic sympathetic fibers? They are short and myelinated fibers. They are also known as the white fibers. The cell bodies of sympathetic preganglionic neurons, they are located in the intermediolateral gray column of the spinal cord in the spinal segments of T1 to L2 spinal cord. Okay, so their axons leave the spinal cord through anterior nerve root to enter the corresponding spinal nerve. Now after a short course through the ventral primary rami, these fibers pass into the white rami communicants and reach the sympathetic ganglia. So I will tell you what is white rami communicants in the next slide. So these preganglionic fibers leaving the spinal cord through the spinal nerves T1 to L2 or L3 collectively form thoracolumbar outflow. So dear students, in this picture we can make out the cell bodies of the sympathetic ganglion are located in the intermediolateral gray column of the spinal cord in the spinal segments of T1 to L2 or L3. Now their axons, they leave the spinal cord through the anterior nerve root to enter the corresponding spinal nerve. Now after a short course through the ventral primary rami, these fibers pass into the white ramus communicants. So you can see here the white ramus communicants and reach the sympathetic ganglion. So these elevations we can see here, these are the sympathetic ganglion. So these preganglionic fibers leaving the spinal cord through the spinal nerves T1 to L2 or L3, these fibers, they form the so-called thoracolumbar outflow. Now coming to the postganglionic sympathetic fibers or the postganglionic sympathetic neurons, they are long and non-myelinated fibers, also known as the gray fibers. They leave the sympathetic trunk to reach the organs. Coming to the location of postganglionic neurons, they are located primarily in ganglion located on the sympathetic trunks. So the postganglionic neurons, they are located in the ganglion which is located on the sympathetic trunks. Some of these ganglia around the aorta and its branches. So some of the postganglionic neurons, they are located in the ganglion which are present around the aorta or its branches. They are known as the collateral ganglion, or rarely within the target organ, as in case of suprarenal medulla. Now axons arising from them, they pass through the gray ramus communicants, which is a connecting channel between the sympathetic ganglion and the ventral ramus to reach the spinal nerve. Now what is this gray ramus communicants? Each spinal nerve receives a branch called gray ramus communicants, as you can see in this diagram. So each spinal nerve, it receives a branch which is known as gray ramus communicants from the adjacent paravertebral ganglion of the sympathetic trunk. So the gray rami communicants contain postganglionic nerve fibers of the sympathetic nervous system and are composed of largely unmyelinated neurons. Okay. Now what is this white ramus communicants? Now white ramus communicants is a preganglionic sympathetic outflow nerve tract from the spinal cord. Each of the thoracic and first and second lumbar nerves contribute to a white ramus communicans to the adjoining sympathetic ganglia. Unlike the grey rami, which are located at each spinal level, white rami communicants contain both myelinated and unmyelinated preganglionic sympathetic fibers. Now coming to the actual topic, the thoracic part of sympathetic chain. Thoracic part of the sympathetic trunk, it consists of 10 to 12 ganglia, usually 11 ganglia we say, because the T1 ganglion may fuse with the inferior cervical ganglion to form the stellate ganglion. Now branches from these thoracic part of the sympathetic trunk, they supply blood vessels, the sweat glands, muscle of hair, that is erector pylorem, of a skin segment of the body, thoracic aorta, heart, bronchi and lungs, stomach, liver, gallbladder, pancreas and spleen, small intestine, ascending colon and right 2/3 of the transverse colon, and kidney and upper part of the ureter. They are supplied by the thoracic part of the sympathetic trunk. Now thoracic part of the sympathetic trunk, as you can see in this diagram, it is located on either side of the vertebral bodies. Ganglionated chain present one on each side of the thoracic vertebral column. Superiorly continues as the cervical part of the chain and inferiorly continues as the lumbar part of the chain. This we already know that it consists of 10 to 12 ganglions, usually 11. The first thoracic ganglion, it joins with the inferior cervical ganglion to form cervicothoracic or the stellate ganglion. Now coming to the course of the thoracic part of the sympathetic trunk or the chain, it crosses the neck of the first rib, as you can see in this diagram. So this thoracic part of the sympathetic trunk, it crosses the neck of the first rib, the heads of second to 10th ribs, and the bodies of 11th and 12th thoracic vertebra. So then it enters the abdomen, so by piercing the medial arcuate ligament of the diaphragm and continues as a lumbar sympathetic chain. Now what are the branches from the thoracic part of the sympathetic chain? The lateral branches for limbs and body wall. Each ganglion is connected to the corresponding spinal nerve, right? So we can see here, this is one ganglion, this is the other ganglion. So each ganglion, it is connected to the corresponding spinal nerve by means of two branches, white rami communicants and grey rami communicants. Ramus means branches, okay? So white rami communicants are the preganglionic, as you can see in this diagram. So these are white rami communicants, these are preganglionic sympathetic fibers. The grey rami communicants are the postganglionic sympathetic fibers. So the grey rami communicants, along with the spinal nerves, they supply the structures in the skin, blood vessels, subskeletal muscle of whole body. Now medial branches for the visceral organs. Branches from T1 to T5 ganglion are postganglionic. Remember this one. T1 to T5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these branches are the postganglionic, and these branches supply heart, great vessels, lungs and esophagus. As we can see in this diagram, the heart, lung and the great vessels and esophagus, they are supplied by T1 to T5 postganglionic fibers. Medial branches from T6 to T12 ganglion are preganglionic and they form three splanchnic nerves. So medial branches from T6 to T12 sympathetic ganglia, they are preganglionic and they form three splanchnic nerves. Number one, the greater splanchnic nerve formed by the roots of T5 to T9 ganglia. It descends downwards and pierces the crust of the diaphragm, and in the abdomen ends mainly in the celiac ganglion and suprarenal gland. Now here we can make out the greater splanchnic nerve, right? So this is lesser splanchnic nerve and least splanchnic nerve. Now the splanchnic nerves, we have the greater splanchnic nerve which is formed by T5 to T9 ganglia, right? Then we have lesser splanchnic nerve which is formed by T10 and T11 ganglia. Then we have least splanchnic nerve which is formed by the T12 ganglion. So these splanchnic nerves, they supply sympathetic innervation to the abdominal viscera. So you have to remember, so there are three types of splanchnic nerves: greater, lesser and least. Greater, it is formed by T5 to T9 thoracic sympathetic ganglia, lesser formed by T10 to T11 ganglia, and least is formed by T12 ganglia. And these splanchnic nerves, they supply sympathetic innervation to the abdominal viscera. Now, into the lesser splanchnic nerve, formed by the roots of T10 to T11 ganglia, it pierces the crus of the diaphragm, and in the abdomen ends in the aortico-renal ganglion. So this lesser splanchnic nerves, they end in the aortico-renal ganglion. So whereas the greater splanchnic nerve, they end in the celiac ganglion. Now least are the lowest splanchnic nerve or the renal nerve, formed by the roots of T12 ganglia. It also pierces the crus of the diaphragm and enters the renal plexus. Now coming to the clinical anatomy related to the thoracic part of the sympathetic trunk, the cardiac pain is an ischemic pain because of the reduced blood flow to the heart caused by incomplete obstruction of the coronary artery. So sensory sympathetic cardiac nerves carrying pain fibers go to the T1 to T5 segments of the spinal cord through the dorsal root ganglion of left side. So these dorsal root ganglia also receive sensory impulses from the medial side of the arm, forearm, and upper part of the front of the chest. So that's why cardiac pain also gets referred to the left side of the areas, right? So the cardiac pain referral mechanism, we say. Now coming, we started with the clinical question, right? So explanation for that question is, what happens in Raynaud's disease? The first question, right? So in this condition, there is a vasospasm, narrowing of the blood vessels, that reduces blood flow to the fingers and toes, making them turn pale, as you can see in this diagram. When blood flow increases, the vessels dilate and become red, warm and painful, as you can see in this picture. The second question is, which part of the nervous system is involved? It results from involvement of the thoracic part of the sympathetic trunk. The axons of the sympathetic postganglionic neurons pass through the gray ramus communicants to reach the spinal nerve. Then they pass through the ventral and dorsal primary rami to innervate the sweat glands, erector pylorem of the muscle of the skin, blood vessels and hair in the region distribution of the nerve. In the present case, the distribution of fingers was affected. Then the last question, how can the disease be treated? The Raynaud's disease. Surgical resection of sympathetic trunk below the T3 ganglion is done. So with this we have come. So dear students, let us have a quick recap of the thoracic part of sympathetic trunk. So there are usually 11 thoracic ganglion, right? First thoracic ganglion is fused with the inferior cervical ganglion to form the cervicothoracic ganglion or the stellate ganglion. Now these ganglia, one for each nerves, T2 to T12, these ganglion give off medial and lateral branches. So lateral branches arising from each ganglion connect it to the corresponding spinal nerve by white and gray rami communicates, as we have discussed in the previous slides. The medial branches arising from these ganglion, they supply the visceral organs, right, of the abdomen. So those arising from the upper thoracic ganglion, they supply the thoracic aorta, and they join the posterior pulmonary plexus or join the deep cardiac plexus, and some of them supply the trachea and the esophagus. The lower thoracic ganglia. The lower thoracic ganglia give origin to prominent medial branches. They are known as the greater, lesser and lowest splanchnic nerves. So the greater splanchnic nerve, it is usually formed by T5 to T9 ganglion, whereas the lesser splanchnic nerve, they are formed by the branches from the ganglion T9 to T10. The lowest splanchnic nerve, it is formed by the T11 ganglion. So all these nerves pass through the diaphragm. So greater splanchnic nerve, the lesser splanchnic nerve and the least splanchnic nerve, they pass through the diaphragm and enter the abdomen, right? So the greater splanchnic nerve mainly ends in the celiac ganglion, right? Then the lesser splanchnic nerve ends in the aortico-renal ganglion. Then the lowest splanchnic nerve ends in the renal plexus. So afferent fibers accompany almost efferent sympathetic fibers. These afferent fibers, peripheral process of unipolar neurons located in the dorsal nerve root ganglion of the spinal nerves T1 to L2 or L3. So with this we have come to the conclusion of the thoracic part of the sympathetic trunk.